Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mark, creator of Jackson Jetsetting, and today we have a little bit of a different video because I was invited to the Carnival media event over the weekend, and they made a lot of announcements about new ships, some changes to some of their destinations, as well as teasing some loyalty program news. So I wanted to update the channel on all of those changes, show you a few shots that I got from the ship. The event happened on board the Carnival celebration, so that was kind of interesting, actually going on board a ship just for a few hours and then debarking before they took off on their week-long voyage. So the whole C-suite was in attendance at this event, making this a pretty big deal, and Christine Duffy, the president of Carnival Cruise Lines, led the meeting. And so the first big news out of the meeting were naming the two new ships that are coming to the Excel class in 2027 and 2028. First being the Carnival Festivale and then the Carnival Tropicale. Both of these ships are going to feature a few new changes, so they're not going to be exact copies like the three Excel class ships that are sailing currently for Carnival. The biggest news is going to be replacing the Bolt roller coaster on the top deck with Sensation Point. So this is going to be a top deck family-friendly experience. It's going to have a lot of different water slides, splash pads for the little kids, just really focus on that family experience. That's what I really gathered from this event, where these new ships were really aimed at families. And it's cool that Sensation Point's actually going to be open later into the evenings on certain days of the voyage. So it's got this whole cool lighting package that I'll cut in here. So really cool stuff from them. The other thing that they're getting rid of is Family Harbor, which was a area of the ship that families could book into and get access to a special lounge. And instead, they're going to have more connecting cabins on board these new ships. So 70% more connecting cabins than any of the other Excel class ships that are currently sailing. So that's pretty cool. They're also adjusting some of the kids programming on board. So the big thing I saw was that they're adding some programming for 6 months to 2-year-olds, which is really important to me because I currently have a toddler in that age range. So that's cool that they're focusing on families with really young children, just giving those parents a break and allowing them to enjoy their vacation a little bit more. The festival is going to have a great music theme. So a big emphasis was on all of the music theming on some of the lower decks. So that's going to be really cool, and it's going to be sailing from Port Canaveral on week-long sailings. So Port Canaveral being a very important market for those families, it makes sense that they would sail from that big cruise market up in Orlando. The Carnival Tropicale, they didn't announce a home port for or any more details beyond just the name, but that's going to be coming out after the festival. Furthermore, we got some details on Project Ace, which are the next class of ships that are even larger than the Excel class ships. These are starting to come out in 2029. There's 3 ships on order, 230,000 gross tons each, and over 8,000 passengers. So a massive ship aimed to compete with all of the biggest ships that are currently sailing from the competition. So we're going to look for that after these newer ships launch in 2027 and 2028. So we also got some deployment updates, and the most important thing that was announced was that Mardi Gras is actually going to be sailing 3 and 4 night voyages from Port Canaveral. So we've seen Royal Caribbean sail Utopia of the Seas on short voyages. They're moving the Wonder of the Seas to short voyages out of Miami. And of course, the Disney Wish is also sailing on those short voyages. These are all very new ships. And so it's exciting to see that Carnival is also getting into that game. So putting your best foot forward with your passengers that are maybe trying out cruising for the first time with your fanciest, biggest bells and whistles, everything thrown at them on that short weekend cruise, hopefully making people just love cruising as much as everyone who's watching this channel does, and booking another sailing in the future. They're also modernizing some of their ships. They didn't have a ton of details around this, but the Fun Ship 2.0 program has basically concluded, and now they're on to the next program, which they didn't name. So lots of new ship enhancements as those dry docks come into the schedule. So more to come there. We also saw a clip from Emerald Lagasse that is teasing a lot of new menu enhancements, as well as a new concept for Chai Bang, which is on board a few of their ships. So obviously they want to swap out an Emerald concept that's maybe even more popular with existing cruisers. So it was cool to see that clip made just for the media. And then very exciting stuff on the private destination front. We've seen a ton of different cruise lines do this, really invest in those private destinations. Disney just launching their new private destination in the Bahamas. Coco Cay being a very popular addition to Royal Caribbean's lineup, and they continue to add to it. I was just over in Great Stirrup Cay, and they're adding a pier to be able to eliminate the tender port requirement for those NCL ships. So that's a ton of investment going on in the industry here, and Carnival is definitely doing so as well. They're about to open Celebration Cay this summer, which is going to be a huge step forward. It's definitely going to be a major competitor for Coco Cay. They're going to have the biggest freshwater lagoon in the Caribbean. It's got that crystal lagoon technology, so it's that bright, bright blue. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So that's going to be your big action-packed day on the beach. Lots of partying, lots of water slides for the kids, just a lot of days at the pool, big, loud fun, DJs, the whole thing. And then Relax Away at Half Moon Cay is going to be the new rebranded experience at Half Moon Cay, which is a super popular destination. Have not been there quite yet, but I do want to check it out. And that's going to be your very chill day on the beach. And so some itineraries are actually going to include both of these destinations, and you're going to be able to address the customer on board, the sailor on board that wants maybe both experiences, or people that want Half Moon Cay, but the rest of the family wants a very action-packed day on the beach at Celebration Cay. So very, very cool stuff here. The other big announcement was that Mahogany Bay, which is Carnival's private port in Roatan. It's only Carnival ships that are able to port there. They're going to be making some improvements to it. They're adding a swim-up bar. They're expanding the beach. And then they're actually rebranding it to Isla Tropicale. So with the new ship being named Tropicale, they're bringing that name into this destination, which I think is pretty cool. And it has a new hummingbird logo because there's lots of hummingbirds in Roatan if you've never been. So I think that's really cool. It's cool that they're really thinking a lot about the branding of their whole destination experience and really just going all in on these private destinations that I think are going to be really popular with their cruise base. And then finally, they did tease that they're going to be making some adjustments to the loyalty program. We didn't get any real concrete info to this. We just know that an announcement will likely be made this summer for implementation into 2026. But I do expect some pretty big changes. We know that this VIFP program has been incredibly popular, and so popular that they've actually had to cut back on some benefits on really popular cruises with a lot of status members on board. So I do think that they're going to address that issue in some way. So we'll have to wait and see about all of the details there. So thanks a lot to Carnival for having me out and including me in this event, and we'll see you on the next video.